Hey buddy, my name is Pluto. Welcome back to another commentated Super Mario 64 Kaizo video. We're back with Super Mario Endless Journey, and today we're doing Course 12, Unprecedented Aerial Fortress. We're doing the Red Coin Star, which I actually forgot the name of the actual star, but it's red coins, that's all you gotta know. Wow, this star is fucking hard. That's really the number one thing I have to say about it. This star is much harder than I think I could have anticipated, even with me knowing that it was harder than Remu anticipated. And if it's harder than Remu expects, that's how you know it's pretty fucked up. This is the hardest star in the game as of the current beta, but I'm not done with the game yet. I still have to do one more stage, which is very difficult, which is AAA. But that one's been beaten as well. Remu's beaten all this game so far, but that was months ago. So this is currently the second completion of the star. So what exactly is this level? How is it structured? To put it simply, red coins gives you the choices between two routes. The first route does the star 1 and 2 path first, and the other route does the stars 3, 4, and 5 paths first. I chose to do the stars 3, 4, and 5 paths first because I feel like they had the more inconsistent jumps towards the beginning, which overall made the grind less stressful because I would be confident that the stuff I was doing later was a little bit more consistent. But keep in mind that the routes are very interchangeable. No route is objectively good in my opinion for the stage. There really are like strong positives and very strong negatives to either route, so you kind of have to make that decision. So right there I dropped the heave ho, and that was just to not have him not be in the way for later, because I'm actually going to be dropping down in a second, because this red coin is extremely weird. I have no idea what's the intended strategy to get this red coin. I tried a lot of things. I maybe should have checked out a video of it because I'm realizing I never did when it was available, but I really just never figured out a good way to do this section. So the way I got this red coin ended up being doing that wall kick sequence, and then I had to do really heavy straining here in order to wall kick and then jump back down, which was really difficult and uncomfortable. I opted for a first here to make it a little bit easier, and that hole is why I opted to drop the heave ho, because otherwise he would fall in the hole. And sometimes when he falls in the hole, he falls through the entire stage, but sometimes he doesn't. So in order to have the most consistency, I just dropped him off the ledge, so that wouldn't happen. So that's one of the major inconsistent parts. There's another one coming up soon, but first we need to do this path. So, as for the difficulty of the star, I should probably talk about it. If you're familiar with the tier system, I'd say this is probably a high tier 8, which is very difficult because if you don't know, like the benchmark for tier 8, like an 8.0 is Wall Wall Melancholy, so I'm saying this is harder than Wall Wall Melancholy, which is a pretty bold statement, but I think it's true with the star. It has so many hard parts that are just so consistently difficult that even though it's a little bit shorter than other stars of this difficulty, clocking in around 22 minutes, I do think it's like at that difficulty that is just like super hard to overcome. Here we have this pole section, which is super duper annoying. You have to watch out for these poles because you need to jump off them and dive in a very particular way to maximize distance. After a while I got a hang of the timing, but there are some jumps that are tighter than others. Also, these wall kicks can be quite tough because you have to min-max your height, otherwise you might not make it to the pole. This is a bit of the easier part. This wall kick is a little tricky to line up, but generally if you just hold more up, it lines up automatically. For the most part, what you want to do here is you just want to memorize the exact angles you want to use for each of these sections. Now we have these two pole jumps. These two pole jumps are by far the tightest. I'm not sure exactly what the window is, but I'm pretty sure it's like 2 frames to time the dive, which can be pretty tricky and very easy to miss, so yeah, there's not really a good visual cue, it's just like you gotta get the muscle memory down for that one. And then that wall kick dive onto the pole is also very tight. So yeah, this is why I want to do this first, because if I chose the other route I have to do this later, but you'll see that there's hard jumps I have to do late anyways, but these ones were just kind of inconsistent. Although after a while I did get better at them and I was able to get past the beginning relatively consistently. Although in this section I actually had a lot of trouble with this jump for some reason, to land into this arch. So yeah, this is the star 3 path, so once you do this, this actually takes you out of it and back on the path for the rest of the stars, so you don't have to go all the way through star 3, which is nice because you skip some really hard stuff. So next up is this horribly awkward wall kick sequence. We have these walls that remind me of stuff in LU 1.5 or Lost Lunatic Trials, aka Shine Hacks, where you gotta do the wall kicks on like the offset walls. Not the offset, but like vertically offset walls. And then you have a really big drop there, which makes the camera kind of fucky, so I opted to use, I opt to pause buffer it to line it up better. Now we have a Q-City section, so we can rest a little bit. I can talk a bit more about the stage. This level is like actually quite fun. In general, this hack is very fun. I've already talked about that, but I actually had a lot of fun with this level because I feel like it had a lot of really satisfying jumps, it felt good to execute a lot of the stuff on this level, because it didn't feel like any of it was like luck or whatever. It felt like everything was consistent if you practiced it, and that overall gave the whole level like a very nice feeling to play. And also, it's like not the slowest level ever. You move through it at like a decent pace, so it's not like sluggish. You're just like constantly like jump, 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 and just it makes for a style of level that's really fun to execute. There I bait out the Czechia, so that way I don't have to deal with him. This little manipulation there. This wall kick sequence is easier than it looks, but it's still very easy to die. The main thing that you would die on in this wall kick sequence is this wall kick right here, because it's very easy to false ledge grab or go out too far and not grab the ledge at all. So, gotta be careful about that. In this tunnel, it's worth noting that there are no corner physics on this wall, so I can hold up as much as I want, which lines this up. You want to be really careful there because the camera gets a little fucked and there's not really a way to avoid that. So I opted to hit a particular spot on the wall where I can pretty much do full jumps, and that makes it really easy to get across this because these walls actually extend down enough to make this relatively easy. Grab the Czechia. I just need to kill him. I did get hundreds. I did a pair 100s with the star at first, but then I died at 9 to 17 and I had gotten 100, so I figured, you know, might as well just roll with it and not get 100 anymore because it's kind of annoying. Grab that red. Little like mini wall kick sequence only for a red. Then there's this chain long jump here. Now this long jump is actually pretty tight. You have to be really careful of how you approach it, especially because you have to consider that scuttlebug up there. Because if he's on the wrong part of his cycle, he's going to jump at you, which is going to kill you. So gotta watch out for that. This is where star 4 and 5 diverge. We're going to be doing star 4 first. Go up here. Now in this section you actually have to watch out because there's an invisible wall on this little thing here, so I have to make sure that I don't, I ledge grab so that way I can avoid the invisible wall. The switch summons boxes. You're intended to like jump down and like use the slope boxes to jump across, but because they're so far down, a long jump reduces your gravity, which makes it very easy to just jump from box to box. You just have to make sure that you don't hit the corner of the box because then you won't be able to ledge grab because this game has really good physics. Easy turnaround there. So, this walking sequence is a little scary because of the camera, but not a big deal. And now we have another one of those like tight chain long jumps, which are really hard to execute because it's just tight. I normally pause buffer this wall kick so I can react to a firstie, but I believe on this attempt I forgot to do that. Yes, I did. So. Oops, but I ended up not getting a firstie, so it really didn't matter. So normally for this section you kind of have to do an awkward slope maneuver, but here I just need to land on the slope. I got really scared there and didn't end up ground pounding because I was worried I was going to land on the slope, but ended up having enough airtime to ground pound anyway, so got quite lucky there because I very easily could have gotten totally destroyed. Grabbing that ledge earlier lines up this walking sequence really nice to get through it quickly, so get to that. Grab that red, and then get this. It's worth noting that the same day I got the star, I had actually gotten the star from 6 out of 17 from like that walking sequence I mentioned earlier, so it was pretty nice that the practice paid off because I didn't die past that point today. I actually died past this point a couple times, but I only died past the first path once, and it was actually to the intro. I kind of fluked the star a bit. It still took around 7 to 8 hours or so, and that includes practice, so still a very hard star even with the fluke, but you know, practice pays off. Over here, get it down. Alright, so now this is the star 5 walking sequence. Now, in the normal star, it's actually very difficult, but thankfully we just have to go in it for a second because we just need to get the red coin and leave, which is at the very beginning, and you can already see it right there. So yeah, I don't have to do any of the elaborate walking sequences, which are super awkward. Main hard thing is avoiding ledge grabbing there, because if you ledge grab, you're guaranteed to die because there's no way to get down safely. From this point I need to grind out this arch, which is going to take me a little while because arches are hard. You know, even like when you become like really good at Mario 64, you still like just like, it's so hard to get an arch sometimes. It's really weird because it's just like, you would think eventually you would just like get arches every time, and to a degree, I mean, you do get better at them, of course, because if you play the game, you get better at everything, but it is just very difficult to get arches sometimes, especially when it's an arch that's really important like this one, where it's like, I really need to get in a particular way, so. Not a big fan of the arch, but whatever. So now we're at 9 out of 17. We've actually collected all the red coins on this path. The other 8 red coins are on the other side of the level. Well, actually, one of the red coins is towards the very beginning, so really the other 7 red coins are on the other path. I grind for a firstie there just to ensure the dive will make it, and this warp takes you back to the beginning of the level. If you remember from the beginning, this was one of the sections towards the start. So, yeah. And right here is where my PB died. I died to this jump onto the block. It's not the hardest jump in the world, but it is very easy to mess up if you're not careful, which I guess I wasn't, so. Make sure to not be like me and be careful. So yeah, from this point onwards, this was my first attempt actually getting here, which is kind of a shocker because I was pretty inconsistent at the other path, but now we're going to see it. This is the start 1 and 2 path, and this is a pretty interesting path. I like this path a little bit more. It has less annoying jumps, and I think it has a more consistent difficulty, which makes it more fun. So I'm more excited about this one. I'm very dehydrated today, so I'm trying to like drink water as I do this. That walking sequence is pretty easy. Just have to be careful about it. This chain long jump's a little bit tight, but it's not super tight. You just have to do it well, and then they'll make it. Like, that wasn't perfect, and I still made it. Now this slip section, I didn't really die to it, like, very much at all. Like, in Reds I never died to it, and then, like, I never really died to it after Star 1, but it is quite scary, and I could definitely see someone dying to it. It's just, like, it's the kind of thing that, like, you get a feel for, and it's not too bad, but it is very scary, because you just don't have a lot of space. This walking sequence is absolutely terribly awkward. I end up going into Mario Cam here and doing pause buffers to slowly change the camera as I go, so that way it lines up so I can actually see where I'm wall kicking. It's extremely awkward, and doing that without pause buffering would be pretty ridiculous, because it's not like the hardest thing in the world. Like, I've done it, it's just like it's more consistent if you do that strategy in my opinion, because you can actually see the walls. It makes it a little bit less luck based. These slopes are just intimidating because they're kind of short, but they're not super slippery, so don't have to be too careful. Have to make a little bit of a detour for the Reds. You gotta love the little Reds only detours. I really do enjoy this hack. I mentioned that earlier, but it's like, I think this hack is just interesting. I feel like it polishes a lot of the design flaws that I see in like IOF and SNR, and makes a game that I really do enjoy, and it seems that other people feel that way too, because this game has actually appealed to people besides just people who like only play like these kinds of hacks. So it's like, I feel as if this game could actually get decently popular, because it's a cool game. It has a lot of cool levels. I really do think that there's something for quite a few people here. Even if you're not the biggest fan of the style, I think that it just kind of is enjoyable. These Super Kaiser levels are actually pretty good, some of the better Super Kaiser levels I've played, which is a pretty good compliment, because I still think Super Kaiser is kind of in that infancy phase where it's like still trying to like figure out what it wants to be, if that makes sense, because it's like, I feel like a lot of Super Kaisers are kind of underdeveloped in that sense, and they don't really have like, a lot of like good, they have like decent ideas for how to make them hard, but it's like, not like amazing ones. I don't know if that really makes sense. It's kind of hard to articulate what I mean, but I hope you get the general idea. The inside of this house has a lot of jumps that there's not really much to say about, but they are just like tricky in general. Mostly maneuvering on the slopes is quite hard because there's not a lot of space there, and they're quite steep, so you have to be really careful there, but beyond that, it's not too bad. Just play it safe with this Kuromame because he's above you. If you don't know, Kuromame fire hitboxes are terrible. They extend super far downwards, which is super threatening, so be careful to not be too far under it. as possible for these wall kicks for safety because I'm scared. And from the slope, you don't even need to get back. You can just make this jump here to slide under that little wedge. Actually, almost hit the wall there, which would have been worrying. Gotta do a couple more wall kick crossovers here. These ones aren't too precise, but you do need to be careful. I use like a front cam here so that way I can like maximize my speed just to be the safest I can. This is a little thing I try to do. Get the third red there. We're almost done with the Star 2 path. We're just on the very edge here. If you've seen Star 2, then this is like after you get the secret in that castle. It's like you have to climb this tower. We don't need to climb the whole thing, thankfully. That jump is really scary. There's a lot of different scenarios that can happen there, so you have to be ready for pretty much any of them. The main like worrying one is that you don't have enough speed to get across, and you have to do some really janky maneuver, which I actually did pull off in my successful attempt to Star 2. Here we can just use a 44.9 to walk across the gap, and this puts us on the sledge. And all we gotta do is just make sure we get this red. And here we actually have a benefit to doing the Star 2 path before the Star 1 one. You can technically do them in any order because the way the branch is organized, but if you do the Star 2 path first, you can actually skip a pretty tight long jump on the Star 1 path because it puts you up here. So instead of having to do this wall kick and doing it into a walk sequence, you can just let you grab the quicksand here and QSD across. I strongly recommend doing that because if you don't, then that long jump at the start of Star 1 is super duper scary and definitely a run killer because it's so precise. It's more precise than the long jumps that I was talking about in the Star like 4 or 5 area, so you really want to watch out for that. We will be jumping back here at some point, so make sure to kill this Czechia. That's my Pluto tutorial for anyone else who wants to get the star, you know, all like 5 people. Got some more scary slopes, and the Star 1 path has a lot of scary jumps. I think this is actually the star path that you do the most of in Reds. You have to do pretty much almost all of it, besides like the very ending, so this is kind of scary because there's so many hard jumps. One of them is right here with the slope. This jump is just tight. You have to jump around this wall here, which can be really difficult without losing too much speed, so gotta time that really well. By the way, I didn't point this out, but there's a little trick I do to jump up slopes a little bit easier, and that is I hold neutral. If you do that, you get extra frames to jump off upward slopes when you're doing the steep slope jump. It's a really good thing to do because it just makes it a lot easier. Makes the timing like super lenient that you can do it like forever. I actually made a video on my second channel where I talked about doing that for front sub. It actually has quite a few views because I guess people Google stuff like that. That crossover is a bit tight, but thankfully I got good quarter frames after not too long, so didn't have to stall there forever. And now we have this, what I like to call the limbo wall kick, because it's like playing a game of limbo. You got to get under the wall here without bonking, because if you bonk on the ceiling, you're gonna slam into the quicksand. Very scary jump. I don't like that one at all. It's like my least favorite jump on the whole stage. So here I do a little bit of a trick to get the ledge grab. When I'm holding against the wall, I hold like down to cancel my momentum, and then when I'm about halfway between the wall and the ledge, I hold up, and that lines you up for the ledge. It's kind of hard to explain without just like doing it because it's a very unintuitive maneuver. And I actually learned it when doing TD, because in TD Reds, especially for that one red coin, the Star 1 path, and not even Reds, it's actually any star. You can do that trick to easily get a QSOG on the course 1 section, which is a pretty neat trick, I think. I think it's pretty interesting how that works. It's not really a situation you run into often where you're like trying to ledge grab out of a wall kick that's like behind where Mario's facing, so unless it's like you're like wall kicking up and like trying to land on the ledge, but like, you know, that's different. I mean like at like a big fall, you know. That's like a situation you don't really see often. This Evo kind of scares me, so I'm trying to like make sure I don't get killed by him. Thankfully I can actually drop him off at this point of the level with a well-timed jump. I'm not sure if I actually do it. Seems like I do. Yeah, I do. Oh, he didn't quite fall off. I wasn't sure if he did or not, because I'm pretty sure... Because in practice... Oh, yeah, he did fall off. Yeah, that's why I couldn't remember, because it was like a really weird scenario that made him fall off. Sometimes in practice he fell off, and sometimes he didn't, so... It's not too hard to survive if he doesn't fall off, it's just gotta be careful about that. We're coming up on the last major hard jump in the level, in my opinion. Although not the last hard jump, just the last major hard jump, and we have these spinning platforms here. I don't even know what the hell this is. This is like super Junk inspired, I feel. With good enough visual cues, this isn't the most inconsistent thing in the world. I do a crouch there to set up my run to be proper. And then for this one, I try to stand on like the base of it, and then I try to get like a slow walk going before running up. That's just to normalize my speed a tiny bit. I didn't really want to do a crouch there just because it didn't feel very nice, so I have to do that instead, and it was pretty consistent. Main thing is you have to avoid rolling out there, because if you roll out, you're not going to move fast enough to land back on the ground unless you do it like really well, so you want it so that way you just like get up from the dive, and it works. Very careful on these wall kicks because I don't want to miss like the line up there. And we're nearing the end of the star here. We have 14 of the 17 reds. This section's a little bit intimidating. We have a heave-ho in the middle and these two tight gaps with a floor in between them. I jump through. Lined it up properly. And there you go. So, this pillar is just the perfect height to triple jump onto it, so just do that. And now I mentioned that I killed that heave-ho because I'm jumping back to this platform, and this is the section I'm talking about. Just do a little circle and jump down. And now do this long jump here, and do two wall kicks. Two very awkward wall kicks, but it's worth noting that hole is quite deep, so you do have a lot of room. And that's pretty much the end of the star, because we're going to get the last red here, and then we just have to do one more final jump to get the star. So I'm done with the commentary. Enjoy the ending, enjoy my reaction, and enjoy my chat reacting early. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys next time. Bye. Yes! I didn't choke it at all, dude. Oh my god. Oh my god.